Alrighty. I'm excited about this video because it's a life skill. It's a life skill to be able to deal with rejection, um, and it's it's also something that's pretty close to home for me because I grew up feeling I grew up being bullied a lot in school, and so I ended up growing up a little bit with desire for approval, um, and just became a really timid person growing up. And so it's actually one of the reasons I decided to pursue a sales career. It's because I knew that it was going to challenge me in a positive way and help me outgrow a couple of negative personality traits that I had, naturally inherited growing up. So, um, I want to teach you a little bit about rejection because sales has this perception that you are getting rejection left and right and dealing with mean people all the time. And that can be a very anxiety inducing problem for people, especially if they don't know how to handle rejection. And so I want to teach it to you because it's going to help you with your sales. It's also going to help you with your interviewing process. And it might even help you in dating and relationships if you're single. So, dealing with rejection in the sales world, but also in general, this is based on my 8+ years of sales. I've made well over 3,000 cold calls, um, over 10,000 cold emails, and I've gotten my fair share of rejections at the bar during my single days too. So, in other words, I know a thing or two about rejection, and I think I have a great mindset on it, and I want to share that with you. So, in terms of career, sales likely has one of the highest rejection rates in the world. That's a fact, period. If you're coming into this, you have to embrace that, okay? That said, I'm going to help you reframe the idea of rejection so that it's a lot more manageable and it's not going to bog you down. Successfully being able to deal with rejection and regulating your emotions around it, regulating your emotions in general, is a superpower in the business world. If you can stay grounded in high stakes situations, you're more likely to be able to persuade, you're more likely to close deals, and you're more likely to advocate for yourself successfully. As opposed to, for example, when you're nervous, you can't even think straight. How are you going to persuade and close deals and advocate for yourself under that frame of mind? You're not. And so the ability to handle this social pressure that comes with rejection is valuable in all walks of life. This includes dating, making friends in real life as an adult, salary negotiations, interviews, and many, many more real world examples. It's worth noting that, and again, I say this as someone that has been quote unquote rejected a gajillion times. Um, it is worth noting that in real life, rejections never happen as intensely and as harshly as they do in the movies, especially not in a professional setting, such as in the B2B business world. You're not going to see those crazy rejections that you see in movies where someone gets cussed out or slapped in the face or something like that. I can count in one hand, literally, I can count in one hand the amount of times that I have been rejected in a harsh manner that actually like shocked me. Uh, So in my 10 almost 10 years of rejections and sales, only 5 times have I actually dealt with any crazy rejection. And to be honest with you, You deal with so many different kinds of situations that you forget about it the next day. So, ultimately, in business, though, you have to understand in business, you can't take things personally. If the deal is not mutually beneficial to both people, either one of those people can opt out. In other words, they can just step away and not deal with not take the deal. No one is being forced to take a deal. This is because money is always on the line. There's money always on the line in business. And so both parties have to keep their best interests in mind, and they can walk away at any given time. So it's not rejection. It really is about two individual parties looking out for themselves because they have to. And you can deliver the perfect pitch, but if someone is not interested, they don't have the money, whatever it is, they're not going to entertain it. Why should they? So you have to just recognize that in business, can't take things personal. There's money on the line. Both people have the right to walk away. So I'm going to go through how rejection applies in the B2B world. I'm going to discuss how rejection applies in interviewing, and I'm going to even discuss how it applies in relationships, because I want you to have an understanding really of rejection at a high level and how it can be applicable to all areas of your life. So in the B2B world, you approach a company or a prospect via cold call and cold email. They say nope, not interested. Then after they say that they're not interested, you end up taking it personally because it signifies that you suck or your pitch sucks, and then you start to become anxious and insecure. This happens all the time. Boom, rejected equals insecurity. However, assuming that you are a hardworking and smart person, what'll end up happening is that you'll quickly fix your pitch and fix your process, and you'll optimize it. And really, they're not rejecting you, they are rejecting your company's offer. And rejecting your company's offer, rejecting any offer, can happen for a multitude of real and valid reasons, such as they have no budget, your software doesn't solve any of their pain points. In other words, your software is not relevant to them, or they're just happy with their current software. They're happy with whatever vendor they've got in place today. That is 100% okay, 100% normal. And this is why it's silly to take rejection seriously or personally. The reality is that there's a million different things happening, and there's a million different reasons why someone might not take the bait. Um, and that's okay. Plus, your job is to find the people, the prospects who are interested, who actually have a pain point that you can solve. That's it. Your job is not to go play the Jesus card and try to convert as many people as possible. This isn't a religion. You're not out here trying to convert people. You're just trying to cast a wide net through your cadences so that you can find the people and attract the people who are in the market or who have the challenges that your company solves. That's it. That is all you're doing. You're not trying to I used to have a business mentor who used to say, "I'm not trying to turn shit into gold. I'm just trying to find gold." And I thought that was a great way of describing sales. If someone is unqualified or uninterested, you can't do anything with that. You can't turn that into an opportunity. You can't turn that into gold. You just have to move on and go find gold. Lastly, if they reject, they can't reject you. They can't reject you because how can they, in the brief seconds of a cold call or the brief email that you send? They don't even know you. And these savvy buyers in the business world, they know what they're in the market for, and and they know when they're in the market based on budgeting seasons. They have certain times of the year when they can spend and buy. They don't always have access to company money. And so, because of this, they can't pay attention to every single company that approaches them with a pitch. Imagine if they did that, they wouldn't have time to do their job. So, it's all to say they're not rejecting you. There's a multitude of different reasons for turning down an offer. Separate yourself from it. Don't take it personally. Now, how does rejection apply to interviewing? You take a second. I'm going to drink some water. Alrighty. In interviewing, you are vetting and qualifying for the right type of company. If you taken my breaking into sales program, into tech sales program, you know that you're looking for companies that promote people, that have high Glassdoor reviews, etc. You are the buyer in that case, because you're vetting companies based on specific metrics. And if they don't have those metrics, you reject them or you don't move into the interviewing process. But in those cases, you're not even necessarily rejecting the sales managers, for example, or the recruiters. You're rejecting the offer. You're rejecting what the company represents. You're not rejecting the people who are doing their job in recruiting. You're just looking out for yourself and passing on the opportunity, passing on the offer. And vice versa. In interviewing, they're also vetting you. And when they decline you and decide that they don't want to move forward with you, they aren't really rejecting you. They're rejecting what you represent as a candidate. Let me explain. Take two examples. Example one, company's hiring salespeople, but this company wants people who excel as relationship builders. They are great at building relationships. And example two, same thing. It's a different company. They're hiring salespeople, but this company doesn't care about relationship builders. They just want people who are fearless hunters who are going to make cold calls, lots of cold emails, and hunt for business. Those are two very different types of people, two very different types of sales approaches. One is a relationship builder, one's a hunter. So imagine that you're interviewing with the company that is a relationship builder. They're looking for a relationship builder. You're interviewing, and all you're talking about is how much you're a go-getter, how much you're always trying to find opportunities, how much you're always trying to hunt for the next big thing. Well, they're not going to really want that. They're going to reject that because they want people who are relationship builders. That's what they found is the best type of persona for their work environment and for their clients. And so this company might not hire you, but this company who wants hunters would. And so just because you're wrong for one company doesn't mean you're wrong for the other. In other words, you're looking out for your best interests and so are they. And it's a mutually beneficial business decision to not explore this further if you're not a relationship builder. And so either way, that's what's kind of happening in the business world, and that's what's happening in interviewing. It's a business transaction. If it's not mutually beneficial, you aren't really rejecting each other as much as you are rejecting the opportunity being that's in front of you. That's it. That's it. You would do the same thing. If someone puts an offer in front of you that's crappy, it would be doing yourself a disservice to take that offer. And so you reject it, and you reject it kindly. Lastly, how does this all apply to dating and relationships, right? This is a perfect example. In dating, you have values, beliefs, religion, commonalities, and if there's a person that you meet that doesn't see eye to eye with you on these things, that's okay. don't take interest, you reject them, and you find someone who is a better type for you. Um, but that doesn't mean there's anything inherently wrong with the person that you didn't have anything in common with. That just means that it wasn't a good opportunity. It wasn't a good offer for you. And so you pass it up. And yes, of course, in dating, it's a little bit more personal. Rejection does hurt in dating. But the idea is the same. Both people are responsible for finding the best option for themselves in which they'll be the most happy. And so the big takeaway here is both parties have the right to opt out at any given time. In many cases, rejection isn't even a rejection because it's not directed at you, unless, of course, it's actually targeted at you or directly offensive, intentionally offensive. Yeah, in that case, I would take offense, but in business, it's never like that. Um, and so I want to finalize with this. This is an image that I drew myself. And the reason I drew this is because I wanted to help salespeople reduce their anxiety levels, reduce their stress, and instill more confidence in them. Like I mentioned before, sales, if you're not from this world, can be a very anxiety inducing career, especially with all the rejection. So I drew this to help salespeople conceptualize the sales process a bit better. And essentially, what you're doing is you're isolating the two. You are your own person. That's one circle on the left. Your sales process is a different, completely different, separate thing. It's not part of you. It's something that you created, but it's not you. And so when you're running your sales process, you must recognize that you are not your sales process. Your sales process is like a weapon, right? Um, let me run you through these examples just to help make it sense. Let's assume that you're analyzing a map, um, and you're analyzing the map, and let's say you get lost. You don't When you get lost, sure, you get frustrated, but you don't really get frustrated at yourself. You get frustrated at the difficulty of the whole thing, but then you just go back, reread the map, see where you turned the wrong way, where you went wrong, and then you make the adjustment, right? Same thing in sales. You have your sales process and then you have yourself. Your process is what you're executing. It's what you're able to improve and fix, but you're not supposed to identify with it. A sales process is like a weapon in a video game. Based on the map, you make the necessary based on the game, you make the necessary adjustments to your weapon. You make moderations to it. And if you don't get the results that you seek, then you make some more moderations and changes to the weapon. But you don't really make any changes to your character. And that's the same in sales. You're modifying your weapon, you're modifying your tool set, your approach, and you're disassociating yourself from that because you are not your approach, you're not your weapon, you're not your process, you are you. So when you can isolate the two, that's when you realize, wow, okay, I can approach these situations a lot more confidently and grounded. And when you can do that, remember, when you can do that, that's when you're going to be extremely successful in high stakes situations like closing deals, interviewing, dating, relationships, making friends, etc. I hope this helps with reframing rejection. Let me know if you have any questions.